PackGeek. Hello, friends. Jeff with PackGeek here. I'm here with Eric Norton, Beckett Media, Fat Packs Podcast. Dude, you are quite the content creator, man. You're always doing something new.
I'm trying to keep it fresh. I don't do video quite as well as you do, but
you're here.
I'm here now, right? But thank you for that. That's really nice because I put a lot of work and effort into it. So for you to say that, thank you.
Yes, indeed. You must. What all do you have going on right now? Obviously, Fat Packs is going on. What other? You always have like 5 different podcasts.
I was always doing a bunch of stuff, right? So we got the Fat Packs working on props to get started again. Season 4 actually. So,
really?
Yeah, season 4. Working on a new video series that we're going to be doing with kind of like what you're doing, but maybe 1 or 2 packs just on a Wednesday night.
Okay.
Way back Wednesdays, we'll call it that.
Nice. Some like older packs?
Yeah, some older packs. Just
Very
1 or
cool.
2 packs. Not anything like what you're doing here. This setup is great. And,
Thank you.
I can't do that. This is just going to be me and a camera phone. So,
hey, you don't have to deal with these guys.
no, you don't. And then I got my on Mondays. You can catch my hockey article on the Beckett Insider. So
Really?
Yeah.
Very cool. Every Monday.
Every Monday.
So, Eric Norton, one thing I know about you is that you are a wrestling fan.
Big, huge wrestling fan. Absolutely.
So how did you ever get interested in wrestling? Was that something?
I grew up here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and the WCCW, the World Class Championship Wrestling, home right here in Dallas. It's the building's not there, the sportatorium is not there anymore, but it's still hallowed ground to us wrestling fans. The Von Erichs are a huge family. That's what sparked it.
How many Von Erichs were there?
5.
That have wrestled?
5.
Okay, 5.
Well, now there's like 8 or 9 actually.
Jeez,
So-
they are like the Gracies from jiu-jitsu
Right, yeah.
applied to wrestling.
Nice segue, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. And so we aren't doing wrestling cards today, but it's related. Wrestlers dominate the UFC currently. These are 2009 Topps UFC. This is round 2, so this is the second series.
Yeah.
And this is, I don't know if you're familiar with the first series, round 1.
Mm-hmm.
They were all these wide action shots. So
Yes.
it was like you had the full ring in frame and you would see the 2 fighters going at it.
Mm-hmm.
And while I thought those were cool action shots, they didn't feel like sports cards the way I know sports cards, where you've got a lot more portrait shots and stuff.
Right.
So that's what I like about Series 2, is there is more portrait shots, there's more kind of just tighter shots on the fighters, whether it's an action shot or not. So do you have any background on these?
Yeah, I actually do. We have this in the office, obviously, and we've opened it. Not anytime recently, but what I love about this is when the UFC was really coming into its own. And the names here are absolute legends in UFC. You got to go back way earlier for the first MMA fights, which by the place took place in Denver, Colorado.
The very first MMA fights?
Yeah, well, they were like almost tough man competitions.
Okay.
And,
where you'd have like a retired cop fighting.
Well, yeah, and then there were 9 fighters, I believe, 8 or 9 fighters.
Okay.
And Hoyce Gracie, I believe, won the whole thing.
Well, are you sure that wasn't UFC 1 or UFC 2?
No, it would have been UFC 1.
Okay, got it.
Eventually, that's what it would have been called, but no rules. Just you couldn't wear shoes, I think, was the only rule.
Really?
Yeah. So and no weight classes.
Oh, see that? Okay, so that's one of my favorite things about mixed martial arts and UFC was that growing up, you have all of these different disciplines that you hear about, like, oh, he's an Olympic wrestler, or he is this karate master of some sort, or he practices kung fu or whatever. But you always wonder, like, I wonder what would happen if Chuck Norris fought like an Olympic wrestler, or I wonder if Bruce Lee fought somebody who just did jiu-jitsu.
Right.
And it was so fun to see these different fighting disciplines fight each other and figure out like what was the superior discipline. And granted, like you have a lot of athleticism involved in there too, so it's not necessarily, well, jiu-jitsu is always better than a wrestler, but you did get to see how that kind of played out. And as it turned out, through the first few UFCs, jiu-jitsu was dominant. And back to your Royce Gracie story, is he was this little guy and he was fighting these, I think he fought like a 300-pound guy,
absolutely.
Massive dudes.
So with that being said, Simple little plug for ESPN 30 for 30 podcast. If you go back to the first or second season, they profile the first like UFC 1.
Really?
And they talk extensively about Gracie. He was the runt of the family. Like he was a drunk. He was almost a loser, right? But the Gracies put him in that position because they were so convinced that their style of fighting in jiu-jitsu would win that they put the worst of them in there, and he dominated.
Yeah, well, I think it's, I want to say Royce Gracie is he the legend? One of them is like the legend of the family, and I don't think he actually ever fought in the UFC.
No.
But he was just super dominant, and of course I'm forgetting his name now, but maybe we can put that on screen right here. Okay. So I've never opened any of this product before.
Right. Okay. Sure.
And you've got some experience with this.
Right.
These boxes are pretty loaded. We're supposed to get 2 autographs, 2 relic cards, and a bunch of inserts and parallels.
Yes.
And the biggest card from this set, I'm pretty sure this is the Johnny Bones Jones rookie card. If you guys know Jon Jones, whether you love him or hate him, he is considered by many to be the light heavyweight GOAT, if not like the best pound for pound mixed martial artist of all time. Like he is wildly talented. And the guy's 2 older brothers were professional football players. So talk about genetics in that family.
Kick his drug problem. He's a great fighter, right?
The guy has some issues.
Yeah, a little bit.
But
I think GSP too had something to say about the greatest pound for pound fighter
of all
time.
I totally agree. So it's definitely, there's an argument there to be said, but many considered Jon Jones the greatest of all time.
Sure.
So that would be cool to get some Jon Jones autograph from these.
Hey, speaking of GSP, shout out to Angelo from Universal Distribution up in Toronto, Canada. GSP's trainer and heavy into the card business. I've interviewed him a few times, so.
Really?
Yeah, awesome
No
stuff.
kidding. So, what does his trainer collect?
Well, he's a distributor. He owns a distributing company,
Oh, okay.
So he doesn't collect a whole lot of anything, but he trained GSP.
No kidding.
Yep.
Wild. Have you interviewed him before?
Not interviewed GSP, but definitely interviewed Angelo a few times.
That's super cool. All right, so it's a pretty cool box. We got Anderson Silva, Chuck Liddell, and I'm forgetting Rampage Jackson?
Rampage Jackson.
Right, Rampage Jackson in the middle.
So Mr. T, the Iceman, and Spider.
Yeah. Man, do not go see the A-Team movie. I'm sorry.
Don't do that.
Rampage Jackson he was a fun choice, but that movie was rough.
So,
all right, man.
Funny story about Spider. The first time I convinced my wife to watch UFC, it was the fight that he broke his leg.
Oh no!
And she's like,
We're talking about Anderson Silva.
Yeah, I'm never watching this again. She was adamant that she was never. She hasn't watched a UFC fight since.
I kind of understand that. That's like the ultimate. You don't want to see. At least I don't want to see any compound fractures in the ring. Like I love to see the stand-up fighting, but it can get pretty gnarly.
Definitely.
And I always look away when they show the close-ups when somebody's on some ugly lock and things are getting really dicey. All right, so these are. Speaking of, this guy is in a bad way. These are pretty cool.
I wonder if this Ben Saunders is a gold parallel. It looks possibly. It's a thicker card.
Yeah.
Compared to the other base cards, it's definitely a little bit thicker. One thing that I did like with UFC and Topps, what they did later when their parallel runs, I don't think they did it here in this series, but is everything was by an 8. So 8, 88, 188, 288 were their parallel numbers.
Okay.
Because of the octagon. So,
yeah. That's cool. That's cool. So I got this Dong Young Kim.
God bless you.
Bloodlines card. Bloodlines is really cool. This actually turned out to be its own product,
Sure
which
did.
is awesome and super limited.
I'm gonna show one right here. Krzysztof Sozinski, also Bloodlines.
Very nice. Oh, and you're right about these, the gold parallel. It's a thicker card. Nate Quarry, gold. There's a ton of inserts in these, which is awesome.
Again, as we open this, you're just gonna notice notice like a who's who of UFC.
Yep.
And that's a fun part of it as well.
All right. So they also have red ink autographs in these.
Right.
Are they numbered to like 20? I want to say I should have done that research, but it'd be awesome to see some red ink.
Here's a cool little insert. Tap Out, Joe Lozana. Love this. They have this is from UFC 17, and they have the date of the fight on there, so you can
Very cool.
You can pinpoint when it happened. Very cool there.
Lyoto Machida is speaking of karate discipline, man, this guy is a legend, but he was one of the karate guys. He's still fighting, I believe. I want to say he's fighting in another league right now, maybe like Bellator. But man, that guy is a legend. He was a lot of fun to watch fight.
Here's one of those Gracie guys, Royce. Card number 1 in the set, by the way.
Hoyce.
No, this is Royce.
I know it's spelled Royce, but it's Hoyce.
Hoyce, Royce.
They do all the arts. Have some respect for the Gracie. That is the Gracie we were talking about earlier.
Hey, come at me, bro. I'm just kidding, don't do that.
Quentin Rampage Jackson, AKA Mr. T.
Sucks to be you, homie.
Had a short career in TNA wrestling. Total nonstop action.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
It wasn't good. You missed it. It's okay.
So how do you not do well in wrestling, like not the traditional wrestling, but the like WWE sort of wrestling?
So it's a concept.
Is it a persona thing that you don't work out?
It's almost like you. Obviously, we know that wrestling is scripted, right? Oh, sorry, breaking news. Didn't mean to upset
Spoiler
anyone.
alert!
But so you've heard a lot. I've heard a lot of guys who went from UFC, went from the octagon to the squared circle,
right?
And like didn't know how to pull punches and didn't know how to.
Oh, I see. Okay,
so
okay.
The discipline itself, you got to remember that it's WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment.
Correct.
So that's one thing to remember.
That makes sense. So this is a Chuck Liddell card. That's pretty nice.
Here is a UFC 19 Ortiz versus Merger. This is a fight poster card.
Tito Ortiz is, man, talk about legends.
I have a story about Tito that I don't know that I could share on this format. So I'll share it. I met Tito in Baghdad, Iraq in 2007.
When you were deployed?
Yeah, when I was deployed. He came over there on a USL tour.
Okay.
And the only thing, when I was shaking Tito's hand, the only thing I could think was going through my mind was, I know who your wife is. And
who was, Jenna Jameson. I mean, that's pretty well known.
Yeah.
Adult entertainer.
Yeah.
But so that's all you were thinking about?
I was like, that's the. It's all I was
wasn't like
thinking
this
about.
guy's a total trained killer. It was like, I know who your wife is. Matt Hughes, man, that guy, what a tough dude. Wrestler from Iowa. And what is it with awesome wrestlers coming out of Iowa? I mean, I'm a Kansas guy, so I understand the Midwest, cold winters, like, got to figure something out to do when you can't go outside, but it is so well known for the wrestlers.
Yep, absolutely. Those northern states up there, in fact, Iowa, Minnesota, Montana, they all got great wrestling programs, but Iowa seems to be the top of that.
I love these fight posters.
They're pretty dope. I got our first relic.
Sweet.
Speaking of Matt Hughes, so this is a matte relic. I'm not huge on the matte relic, but this is early on in the process, and you'll notice that Topps uses the matte relic throughout, even in wrestling products too.
Okay.
So this is a matte that they fought on, which is nice. I would rather have a fighter worn relic, you know.
Yeah, agreed.
But for what this is, early in a product line, that's not bad.
We've also got a Rich Franklin gold.
Have you ever attended a UFC watch party or hosted a UFC watch party?
I've had a couple friends over, small ones here. I've watched it like Buffalo Wild Wings and a few other places that show them, but I've never been to a live event. That's really what I want to do.
So I have a very good friend. His name is Kyle Fisher. He is the president of Zebra Mats, and it's out of Minneapolis. And he has a really close relationship with the UFC because they make the mats that UFC fights on. And
Okay.
A lot of jiu-jitsu stuff too.
I've heard Joe Rogan. I think Joe Rogan has zebra mats at his gym.
So Kyle, shout out to Kyle, and he's always at a UFC event. Like every time I see him, he's at a UFC event. So he's doing great. Hey, big name right here.
Royce Gracie?
Yeah, Royce Gracie. The Beast, Brock Lesnar.
Oh, nice.
This is early in Brock Lesnar's UFC career, I believe. In fact, his fight record is 3-1 on this.
Wow.
So it might be might consider it a rookie card. I don't know.
Heck yeah. Let's just call it that. So I've got another Matt Hughes. This is a Matt Hughes heavy box, which I'm totally good with.
The Dan Hardy Bloodlines.
Very cool.
From the UK.
So the Bloodlines, that's one of the biggest inserts from this, I want to say. So we have a relic here. Personality worn gear. It's Herb Dean, who is everybody's favorite ref. So they've got the ref's shirt relic
That's
in
not
here.
bad.
It's all right, man.
Is it numbered?
Yeah, it is. It's numbered 199.
Yeah.
But Herb Dean is a cool guy. I've heard him speaking of Joe Rogan on Rogan's podcast a couple times. Shout out Joe Rogan.
Greatest podcast in the world, evidently.
The Godfather.
That is my goal, is to be the Joe Rogan of podcasting.
For sure.
It's not happening, but I can tell you.
Stick with it, man. He's been doing it a long time.
Yes, he has.
That should be everyone's goal. Okay, we got some cool stuff.
Here's a Rich Franklin KO.
Sweet. Oh, man. Is it Mr. America? Randy Couture?
Randy Couture, yeah. Also has a horrible product of t-shirts, or line of t-shirts.
Oh, what are they called?
Extreme Couture. You can find that at any haberdashery you go to. You ever been to a haberdashery?
I don't know that I have.
Come on, man. I'm 2 packs left.
Here's another Bloodlines. Am I going slow?
You're milking it.
Okay. Those Bloodline inserts are awesome. No wonder they started their own set. So have you opened any Bloodlines before?
Oh, yeah. We open this stuff all the time. Undisputed, Bloodlines.
Is Bloodlines, are they still making that?
Museum collection. I think Bloodlines is now like in museum collection or finest, and it's an insert or a subset in there.
Got it.
This is pretty dope if the camera can catch it up. This is a Jonathan Goulet. He's got MMA fighter inked in his head.
What?
I don't know. I don't know if that's probably just a haircut and they dyed that area.
Yeah.
But you got to be pretty committed to your craft.
That is a legit commitment there. Okay. Oh, Mark Coleman. Well, speaking of wrestling, we should probably show Mark Coleman. That is a tough hombre.
There's another fight poster. Tough 9.
Oh, we got Mike Swick. He's I want to say Mike Swick is a super high-level kickboxer, like famous for kickboxing. That's a gold.
Haven't pulled a Jon Jones yet, but here's a Jon Jones.
Where are the autographs? Where are the autographs?
I haven't seen them yet. Here's a Jon Jones versus Andre Guzmo UFC debut.
Nice.
Jon Jones is 8-0 at this point in his career.
8-0, a young Jon Jones.
Before the cocaine.
Going hard at Jon Jones.
I'm sorry.
No, it's he's left himself out.
Everybody knows that
for shots.
DC should have fought him at least 2 other times that should have happened, and they couldn't because Jones was jacked up.
It's another legend, Wanderlei Silva.
I have not seen any autographs yet.
I haven't either. What the heck? Silva versus Cote. Those fight posters are cool.
Well, there we go. I got the first one. And good grief, is it not a freaking awesome autograph?
Really?
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Randy Couture, Octagon of Honor. That means the other autograph is in your pack.
Better be. All right. What do you got there?
This is either the worst signature I've ever seen.
Oh no.
Or the greatest signature I've ever seen. But it is Spider Silva.
We got an Anderson Silva autograph?
But look at that. Look at that.
What happened?
I don't know.
It's like he passed out with a Sharpie in his hand.
That is the worst looking thing I've ever seen.
It looks like a spider. Maybe that's what he's doing.
Maybe that's what it is. But
oh, that's a sweet autograph.
It is an Anderson Silva autograph.
Oh, I got the other auto.
All right.
All right. So, and I have Chuck Liddell. And, Evan Tanner. Unfortunately, RIP. That is a cool card. Evan Tanner did not pass away in the ring, in case you're wondering, but he had an accident. No longer with us. Man, he was a fun guy to watch.
Can I sleeve this up?
Yeah, please. Martin Kampman.
Never heard of him.
Auto. All right. Dude, the silver, or the Silva, yeah, is
That's pretty dope. Let me show it one more time.
Awesome.
Show it one more time to the camera.
Check that out.
That autograph is nuts.
That is
Spirograph.
Spidergraph.
I didn't mean to do that. Okay.
You did it. All right, guys. Well, thank you, Eric.
Thank you, sir.
That was a blast, man. Let's get together and open some more UFC at some point.
Let's do this. All right.
All right, man.
Get some wrestling.
Okay, we can do that too. You'd have to talk me through that. We'd have to go back to like WWF wrestling for me to know anybody.
We'll do it. 87 tops. Let's make it happen.
Done. All right. We'll see you guys next time. Hey guys, thanks for checking out another episode. Make sure to subscribe to PackGeek on YouTube. Also check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Thanks. PackGeek.